All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back to this workshop. I know we haven't had those in like 2 weeks, but hey, we're back. We're back at it again to work on feminizing, masculinizing, or making your voice more androgynous, whatever you'd like to do with your voice. As a reminder, please do keep your mic muted for this session. You will have the opportunity to move up on stage and work on your voice right with me. So first and foremost, I do need to say some important thing about voice and how it works, and generally just some health things that we have to take into account. All right, so voice is what? It's like little flaps of flesh, and they vibrate really quickly to create voice, right? And what's really important with those is that if you don't take proper care of them, they will pretty much, die on you. And, they can't really die, but they will, get really tired and no longer work for you. So what you would want to do is, before any practice session, please make sure that you drink some water. Try to do it so like 15 minutes before doing any voice production. That is because when you drink water, it doesn't directly go to the vocal folds, right? The water will only arrive at the vocal folds and hydrate them through the blood flow. So it's really important to drink water, wait a little bit, and then we start to do some gentle warm-ups with some sounds like zzz or zzz, which are easier on the voice than your normal speaking sounds. Okay? Now, with that said, if you happen to take things like spironolactone or any kind of medication that is known to be drying to the voice, be sure and please do try to work around it. I'm not saying stop taking those medications. They're here for a reason. You take them for a good reason. So, and of course, if you do smoke or do drink as well, you do want to avoid practicing in the same time frame. So, that's just something that you want to be aware of, is that dryness can come from many factors, but you're not going to stop those things just to voice train, and it's just going to make it a little bit less easy. Just know that, if you do take the medication, try to voice work as far as possible from the taking of the medication, or of any other activity that can be drying to the voice. All right, with that said, let's talk a little bit about the voice. I think I see some new faces, so maybe what voice is not completely unclear or clear to all of you. So what is voice exactly? Let's talk about it. So we base ourselves off the PSF model. It stands for Power Source Filter Model. And basically what you want to be looking at is the following. You push air from your lungs, very easy, so far so good. We all know how to do this, I hope. And the air then moves up to the trachea. So the trachea is a tube that connects the lungs to the larynx, okay? And so this little box, the voice box, the larynx, it's right behind the Adam's apple. Even if you don't have a very prominent Adam's apple, you still have that piece of your body there. Once the air reaches it, you will basically have air that comes from below the vocal folds, and they're going to start vibrating in like a motion like this, okay? Once the vibration happens, you created a source sound. That source sound will then move up and bounce around in this filter, in this resonant chamber. And this is where the term coined resonance generally refers to. It's that big or small space. And so the filter will be what we'll be using to really manifest a great change of the gender perception in the voice. If you manage to make that space really, really, really big, then you get a really masculine voice, or like a really dark sound. But if you make that space really small, then you get a feminine sound, okay? So pretty much that's what you want to know. You push air, it makes the vocal folds vibrate, they create a sound that then bounces around in a more big or more small space, and that's really all you need to know for the basics of voice, okay? Now, let's talk about warm-ups, right? If you want to use your voice and make sure that you do so healthily and so that you don't injure yourself, you want to do one main thing, and that is warming up, okay? Some of these warm-ups can include different types of sounds. You can just gently hum through the nose, so you can also hold like a Z sound. So basically the teeth and the tongue zzz, are going to restrict the airflow, and thus you're going to create a counter pressure to the pressure that comes from the lungs, right? Think about it this way. If you use your voice, you always speak by breathing out air, right? It's always in that direction. Unless you speak like this by breathing in, but I don't think most people speak by breathing in. So breathing out it is, right? And so when we do warm up, we want to create that counter pressure, right? Because otherwise your voice always has to sustain a pressure that comes from below the vocal folds, from the lungs. So creating that pressure with the nose, like in humming, or with the teeth and the tongue, zzz, or even a V sound as in variable, or voice, that works too, I guess. You can create that counter pressure and thus allow the vocal folds to vibrate in a space which doesn't have as much pressure, okay? So with that being said, we're going to try to do some warm-ups together, shall we? You may unmute yourself for this. What I will be doing here is I will do a warm-up, then count to 3, and on the count of 3, you will repeat the warm-up that I did. All right, let's give that a try. So starting low or as low as you can, we're going to take an O sound and do the following. Oh. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. And back down. Okay, very good. That was for the O sound. Let's try a different sound. Let's see, like a Z sound. That shouldn't be too hard. Z as in zebra. So let's try this. I go first, you go after. It's okay, you get one more. Now try this again. 3, 2, 1. And back down. Okay, very good. Nice. All right, so you can do this gentle slides on an O sound or a Z sound, and they might not sound like much and they might sound really funny, but trust me, your voice will thank you for that. You might also try different ones. I know we generally only do slides, but you can also try scales. Something like z, 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 z. That was so off tune, but you don't really need a tune, just need to like hit 3 different ones. Try this one out. Z, 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 z. Give it a try in 3, 2, 1. Z, z. Okay, not so easy, is it? Now, you can try to do this to have a bit more vocal agility and a bit more precision on the notes that you want to hit. Typically, you might want to try to do this when first warming up, just do like the lower range, if that's what's easier for you, or the higher range if you're trying to masculinize the voice. And then, as you get more and more warmed up, you can move closer and closer to that. I can't speak today. As you go more and more warmed up with your voice, you can go closer and closer to the desired range that you want to practice your voice at. Okay? Now, with that all said and done, well, we are all warmed up, so please make sure that your mics are muted, because now we'll be having someone move up on stage. Oh, I didn't make that clear first. We're going to have 2 people who want to feminize their voices up on stage and 2 people who want to masculinize their voice up on stage. So let's see. We're going to start with, let's start with mask voice. Yeah, I'm feeling mask voice today. Anyone interested? Okay, I see. Oh, wow, there's several ones actually. Okay, I believe I saw Jasper the Crow first. Are you interested in masculinizing your voice? Yes? All right, come out on stage. Come on, come on, come on. The stairs are over there. Applause for Jasper! All right. Hello, Jasper.
Hello.
Hello there. Is that your first time up on stage? I don't think I've seen your avatar before.
I've never been to any classes before. It's actually my first time.
Oh, wow. Okay, there's so much to do, so much to see, so much to say. Okay, we are going to have 10 minutes starting from now. Let's go. You're good. Don't worry. All right. So welcome, welcome, welcome. You are interested in making your voice more masculine. That's right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you done any voice practice former to this or not at all?
I have a naturally, due to my genetics, I'm able to do a deeper voice, but that's the closest I've gotten.
Okay, interesting. So have you already played around a little bit with like doing funny voices, cartoon voices perhaps? Have you like tried modulating your voice around a bit? Yeah, okay, cool, cool, awesome.
I'm able to go down and up pretty easily. I've had a lot of voice training when it comes to that, but that's about it.
All right, you know, anything that you do with your voice, you know, it's more work and more connections made to what you can do with your voice. So, you know, just take it. That's good. All right, so let's see. What I have to say, and I forgot to mention this at the very start, that may be why we had more time in the warm-up, but there are three main things. There are three main things I want to work on when we want to masculinize the voice, right? We are trying to mimic the effects of testosterone on your voice, right? You have not been gifted or poisoned with testosterone. That depends on how people see it, really. But testosterone does three main things, right? At first, it drops your larynx, so it makes the space really big. Then it makes the vocal folds really long, so it makes the pitch a lot lower. And then it makes the vocal folds a lot thicker, which makes the voice a lot boomier and more full. And that's how you achieve a masculine voice. You can try and go for those three different behaviors and practice them to together create a more masculine sound. You've already shown me quite a low pitch. I'm interested to see. Why don't you go ahead and show me like a slide from your highest pitch down to your lowest pitch. Could you try and do that?
So my highest pitch would probably be up here. And it can go
all the way down to here, I believe.
So like around an F3. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, like we're like down here. Cool, cool. Yeah, we're vibing. Cool, cool. Yeah. All right. So great. You know, that works fine. Another thing to say is that pitch is not, as I said before, testosterone does three things to masculinize the voice, but I didn't mention pitch, right? There's a reason for that. It's because, like, even if you have, like, a really, like, high pitch, you can still not sound femme, you know? And that's because, you know, it's like the gendered perception of the voice is kind of, like, based on, like, how many of those check boxes you tick, right? So you already have, like, quite a low pitch. Now let's try and mix it in with some darker resonance. So, are you familiar with resonance or with the concept of the vocal tract size?
No, not really.
All right, let's talk about it. So I did mention like a change in size, right? At the very start. And so what you want to know about that size is that if you have a really small size, then you like a really bright, small sound. But if you have a really big side, then you get a really dark sound, right? And so we are trying to reach for that darker sound. But how do we hear it? I mean, like, it's easy. You will agree. It's easy to hear da 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 da. It's like a change in pitch. But a change in resonance, for all you know, that could be pitch. You know, something is off there. It's not exactly pitch, but there is a scale happening. There's a way for us to hear what that scale is and how we can modify it and learn from it. What I like to introduce you to is voiceless exercises. Okay, so what are voiceless exercises? I also call them whispered exercises. Basically, what you want to do is take a whisper. First, we need to test if your mic is going to let the sound come through. So can you give me a very quiet and gentle hello? All right, awesome. I think we're going to do great here. So now that you've done this, hello. You want to try and say pat that cat instead, like pat that cat. Give it a try.
Pat, cat.
Awesome. So as you can hear, that whisper that you just did it's hard to gender, but like you could still gender it like, it's kind of like a feminine whisper, you know? You can hear the difference between like pat that cat and pat that cat, right? One is a lot brighter, one is a lot darker. And so to create that darker sound, we're going to try and go for a darker whisper. So try the following. We're going to say pat, but we're going to increasingly make it darker, like this. Pat, 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 pat. Give it a try.
Pat.
Nice. Okay, so you just went from pa to pa. Okay, so quite a big difference. Can you try it again and reach that same dark pat sound, but this time say pat that cat the whole sentence? So, pat that cat. Go for it, sorry.
Do I go from up to down again?
Yes, go from the top one to the bottom. If you want, you can also try to just directly jump to the darker one. But okay, so typically what I also have to say is that whispers are good, like as an exploration tool, right? But they're also really drying to the voice, okay? So you want to be careful not to overuse them. It's good that like you can get a feel for it, right? Like, actually, I must ask, if you put your hand on your neck like this, just don't press down, just like literally put it on your neck, can you feel a bump on your neck?
No.
Okay, so still with your fingers there, you're going to want to try and do pat, 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 pat. Give it a try.
Oh, I felt that's weird.
All right, so you felt something. What you felt is your Adam's apple. I know, they said only only people with testosterone have an Adam's apple, but that's not true. It's just that testosterone makes it more or less prominent, okay? But we all have one. We all have the larynx. So I do need to make it so, to make sure, can you please go to your quick launch menu and go to audio settings and make sure that noise suppression is checked off. I think I still have some whispering being cut off.
I always have it off, but I don't like having it on because it feels strange.
What about the mic activation threshold? Is that turned off as well? Sorry, is that down to 0%? Please put it to 0%.
There.
Okay, let's try it again. Pat, 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 pat. Nice. Okay, no cutting this time. Great. And now you have had the ability and the opportunity to feel your Adam's apple go down. Pa, 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 pa. Right? That was great. Now you can try and hone in onto that feeling and try to build up more muscle memory, right? So you can try and instead of doing the whole pa, 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 which is basically using your ear as a guide to tell how dark you are, you can instead try and just jump from the bright one to the dark one, like this. Pat. Pat. Give that a try.
Pat. Pat.
Hey, okay, that was really good. Nice. So if you can avoid using the whispers, avoid them altogether, right? But, at least you can hear it travel down. If you ever feel like you're not going as dark as you can always try and go back again from the top to the bottom one. But okay, that was really good. Okay, and from there, give me a dark pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Nice, awesome. And now we're going to try and bridge that into a full voice. Because right now you have basically a masculine whisper. Pat that cat. But it's not a masculine voice yet. So we need to make sure that the vocal folds close back in and start to vibrate. Preferably at a pitch that's low enough to create pat that cat. Okay. You're okay. All right. So let's try this. First, before you read the board and stuff, let's just try to go for the whispered pat that cat into the spoken pat that cat. Okay? Can you show me the lowest pitch that you can do again?
I think it's around down here.
Okay. Sorry, the alarm has already gone off. Okay, it's around down here. Great. Now try the following. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay, so now we had like a little bit of a creaky voice there. Pat that cat. So it wasn't quite full. Maybe you can try and shoot for maybe a pitch that's a little bit more comfortable to use. Like, maybe like this pitch here. And from there, pat that cat. To really get that dark, hollow sound. Give it a try.
Pat that cat.
Okay, nice. Pat that cat, okay? So now what's really important here is that whilst you have done this pat that cat, I think that the whisper that you did was definitely darker than the voice you showed, right? That's because if you can reach a really dark whisper, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can make the vocal folds vibrate in that bigger space, right? So what you want to do is basically learn to bridge the voice from a whisper into a full voice. It kind of sounds like this. There's 3 main steps, right? So we have the whisper, then we have the breathy voice, which is the middle ground between normal speech, between a normal voice and a whisper, right? And then we have which is when the vocal folds fully close, or not fully close, but closed enough and really use all the airflow to produce a full phonated sound, right? So we can try the following. Give it a try.
That's... Sorry.
Okay, so I didn't hear the whisper here. Just try to... Just like breathe out in that dark sound that you got. Nice. And now... Yes, okay. And I try to say... that mad brat.
Wait, could you repeat it? I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, let's do just for pat that cat. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Hey, okay, that was really convincing. Okay, now look at the board here and try to say, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Okay, that was really interesting. You did the following. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So basically, you started really dark, like, that mad brat, that was really good. And then you slowly went back up to your current voice behavior, which is like a little bit brighter. Okay? So that means that it's really encouraging. I know it feels like, oh, I didn't do it right. Not quite. You made the first step to reaching a really dark masculine sound, right? Now the whole point and the whole work will be to maintain it at a bigger size, right? You can use your hand to monitor how low you are or how dark you are with your voice, and then you can try and speak more of that. I definitely recommend to record and listen back to yourself. It really helps with the feedback loop, and it helps you become a better critique and a better voice user altogether. All right, the time was up for already quite a bit of time, but yeah, good job here, Jasper. Applause for Jasper. Okay, the Yuppies are back. All right, so this time I'll be
I can't speak. I'll be having someone up on stage who wants to feminize their voices who might be interested. All right, you're right here, Enderborn. Come up on stage. Come on, come on, come on. The stairs are over here. You can try. Some people can trick the jump, but it's difficult. All right, applause for Ender. All right, hello there. You might be muted.
Hi.
Ah, hello. How are you doing? Okay, let's try this. 10 minutes starting from now. Let's go. All right, so hello, Enderborn. How are you doing?
Fine.
All right, awesome. So have you done any voice training prior to this session here, or is that the first time that you ever learned anything about voice?
I've watched a few videos, but can never understand the terminology. And I
All right.
practicing sometimes when I'm like playing with my dogs.
Okay, so like speaking to the dogs and such, like...
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Any thing that you can find that gets you to use your voice is a good thing for you to like get voice practice done. I know you can know all of the terminology and all of the theory, but if you never practice your voice, you're never going to understand how it feels like to use your voice. So, well then, let's make it super simple. Okay. How does voice work? You have air in your lungs. You push the air. It sets the vocal folds in a vibration pattern, and then it creates voice. Well, not exactly. It creates a sound that then will be propagated through a small space or a big space. So far you follow, right? Yeah. Okay, so basically imagine like a guitar versus a ukulele. The guitar is really big, has like a big body, and it makes a really warm sound. And you have like the ukulele, which is like a very small instrument, and it makes like a much brighter sound because it has a smaller body. It's basically the same thing with our voices, right? You can see a feminine voice as the ukulele voice and the masc voice as a really big guitar voice, okay? Now, we don't exactly operate with strings like that, but let's see. All right, how about first you show me what your range is. Let's try to go from your lowest pitch up to your highest pitch. Let's give it a try. Go on.
Oh.
G sharp 4. Okay, very solid. Very wide range. Okay, now let's try and get you to work on some whispers. So why the whispers? Well, same thing as with Jasper before. I think it was Jasper. Yes, I can't remember names. I'm so bad. Yes, thank you for the nod. Yes, okay. So, but instead of making it go from bright to dark, we're going to want instead to make it go from dark to bright. So we start with a really dark pat, like pot, okay? And then we're going to try and make the pat brighter and brighter, like this. Pot, pot, pat, pat, pat. Give it a try.
What does brighter mean?
Okay, so brighter is okay. So like, let's see how to explain this better. So basically, pitch, right?
This is a low pitch.
And this is a high pitch, right? We describe pitch as like high or low because it sounds more high or more low, right? A higher rate of vibration of the vocal fold creates a higher pitch, and a lower rate of the vocal folds create a lower pitch, right? And so resonance is not changed, or the size of the vocal tract is not changed because of the vocal folds. It's changed because, or thanks rather, to this thing, right? What we call the pharynx. And this whole thing can change in size. Basically, the biggest change that we'll be making in terms of resonance for your voice will be in terms of how high your larynx is, or your Adam's apple, or how low it is, okay? Now, if you have a really low Adam's apple,
then you get a really dark sound.
or if you will, a low resonance.
It sounds dark, right? It sounds like I'm like a really big body, right? Versus if I
Speak like this, it sounds like I have a really small body. See what I mean? So you can talk about it like it's big or small, or you can say it's dark or bright. It's just a different terminology to describe the same thing. Okay?
Okay.
So now we're going to try and go for a really dark
a really big
whisper. Okay? Pretend you're whispering like Darth Vader.
but that cat.
Yes, he did that in the movies. I saw it. So, yeah, exactly. So,
But that cat.
yeah, we're patting the cat on the dark side of the voice. And now Vader's had a change in mind. He's like, I want to go to the light side. I want to go from like Darth Vader to Mama Vader. Okay? And so you're gonna pat. The pat is gonna become increasingly brighter.
But
Pat. Okay? Give it a try. Okay, that was really good. Okay, and from there, pat that cat. Try and say the whole sentence. Pat that cat. Okay, nice, very good. And now you just went from a really dark masculine whisper,
but that cat,
to a really bright and feminine whisper, pat that cat. Okay? So now it doesn't sound like much. It's just whispers. It's not exactly your voice. So we're going to try and bring that voice into a brighter sound. Okay? So can you try and go again to pat that cat?
Pat.
Pat that cat. Pat that cat. Okay, very good. And from this, you're going to try and bridge from the whisper into full voice. So first, match my pitch here if you can. A little bit higher. Okay. Don't need to go any higher. You were good there. So, okay. And now from there, that's just so that you like know what pitch to land on when you're going to go from the whisper into your voice. So, okay, keep that one in mind. Yeah, that works.
Okay.
It's high enough to be feminine,
And it's, I guess low enough to be masculine.
depending on the context. Okay? Now you have this, and you're going to want to make that sound more feminine. So you're going to try this.
Pa.
Same pitch, but brighter, but smaller. Give it a try. Okay, so careful there because you did. You let your resonance drop, or you let the space become bigger again as you bridged into the full voice. Okay, that's something you want to be really careful with, not to let happen. Let's try it again. Okay, that's better. And now from there, you can try and say, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Yes, there you go. That's a feminine sound. Pat that cat. Sure, a bit of a timid and shy one, but that's a feminine sound. Pat that cat. Okay? Now let's build up that new sound we found. All right? And I got some sentences for you that you can read from. So let's give that a try. Can you try and go back up to that sound you just did? Okay, try and make it on an sound. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay, good. And from there, you're going to try and say, ah, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, very good. Nice. How does that sound to you? I need to check in and see how you feel about that. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. How does that sound to you? Like to your ears? How do you interpret that voice?
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Would you call that masculine? Really? That mad brat
It
sat on a
kinda
flat mat.
just feels like I'm raising my pitch and not really changing the gender
Oh,
too much
whoops.
to me.
Well, you're not entirely wrong. Like, you are raising your pitch, but you
I am
also make
doing
your
that.
voice brighter. So, thing is, when you use your voice, a lot of things evolve together, right? Your pitch is more or less linked to your resonance, right? And generally there's a big pitch to resonance conflation that can happen, right? Pitch and resonance are not the same thing, right? If I do that's a pitch change. But if I keep the pitch stable, but make the size bigger, right? Then I get like a different sound. But it's the same pitch, right? So you have to train your ear to hear the difference between like resonance and pitch to become a better critique of your own voice, right? And it starts with a whisper. When you are using your voice like this, can you tell that I changed something about my voice? What was it? Pitch or resonance?
The pitch seems to like go down a little bit, but there's like, something else that seems to be the biggest change.
Which would be resonance. Right? If you were like to keep that sound going, pat that cat,
Pat that cat.
see how it create like a much darker sound that is more akin to masculine voice. Although granted, most masculine voices that you hear
Don't sound like this.
like that's kind of like an opera singer, right? Like most masculine voices probably like
Sound like this because
they combine the darker resonance with the lower pitch. But now you're doing the opposite. You're bringing the pitch up and you're also bringing the resonance up, okay? So that's what you want to be doing. Keep using that voice. Definitely record yourself because you might not have any idea of what your feedback is, right? Compare them back to back, right? Like try to compare like a mask voice that you do or whatever voice you generally use. I don't really think I can call it mask. You say something like,
that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
and then you compare it to, that mad brat sat on that flat mat, right? You definitely hear the big difference happen. Yeah?
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, very good. Nice. I know it might be hard to believe, but that's already a feminine sound, okay? Like, it's already bright, it's already at a high pitch, right? And I know you think you're just bringing your pitch up. It can't be that easy. Sometimes it is that easy, right? You might have been unlucky and instead have done something like,
That mad brat sat.
you didn't keep the sound dark. So you might have scaled by habit or by how you use your voice already. You might have scaled both your pitch up and your resonance up together, right? So yeah, definitely keep practicing. Record yourself, listen back to yourself, and I'm sure you'll be able to get to the femme voice you want in no time. All right? Definitely try exploring a bit with the whisper exercise. Try the thing with the hand on your neck so you can like really feel like
The larynx go down when it's dark. A dark sound.
right versus a bright sound. Right? Train your ear for that. Try and listen for those things, for those changes in other people's voices as well. And yeah, then try and apply that knowledge to your voice. Okay? All right, awesome. You did really great, Ender. Applause for Ender. All right, so now I'll be having the next person up on stage. So this time will be for masculinizing their voice. Who might be interested here? All right, you were really quick to raise your hand. Rayman, come up on stage. Come on, come on, come on. Stairs are left or right. You can choose whichever direction feels the best to you. Yeah. All right, whenever you are ready.
No.
Oh, what's happening? Oh no, you're floating. Oh, wait, did this really happen? Okay, we might have had a little crash here that happened at the worst timing ever. Oh no, okay. You know what I will do instead? I'll have up on stage the second person who wants to feminize their voices, and then I'll wait for okay, you were really quick. Ooh, God. What do I call you?
You can call me Ufu.
Alright, hello Ufu, come up on stage. Applause for Ufu. Alright. You do not have a really evident name to say. Okay, so let's get started. We got 10 minutes starting from now. Let's go. All right, so hello, Ufu. Is this the first time you ever show up here? What do you know of voice? And yeah, like, what's your objective?
So I've never been to one of these before. I have watched a couple of like the YouTube videos, but I've done like independent voice practice for like 3 years, sort of. It's like on and off.
Okay,
And,
3 years on and
yeah.
off. Impressive. Okay, cool. Have you done any voice acting or singing, or it doesn't need to be official, just like you do something with your voice on your own? Like you said, the 3 years, was it targeted towards like specifically feminizing your voice or through other things as well?
Yeah, a lot of it has been towards feminizing my speaking voice as well as singing voice.
Okay, cool. So that's great. So where do you feel at with your voice right now?
I feel like there's a lot of like inconsistency. Like some days it feels good, and then other days it does not feel great.
That happens to all of us. Don't worry. We teachers call this off the folds day. Like we have a day off the vocal folds. They're just like, we're taking a rest, and the voice just does not want to cooperate. That happens sometimes. It's unfortunate, but life is life. You might be sick. Your voice might be dry. You might have overused your voice. You know, a lot of things can make it so that your voice will not cooperate, and that's fine, honestly. So. Would you say that on days where it works fine, would you say that like you're happy with your voice? Or do you feel like there's still a few things that kind of bother you about it?
I do still feel like there could be improvement, especially in like, I guess, naturalization. There's like a lot of it is like I'm not exactly sure how to describe. And I haven't really known how to address like those on my own.
Okay, interesting. So like, you know, something feels off about your voice, but you don't exactly know what. All right,
Yeah.
so let's see. From what I've heard you say and the way you have been speaking so far is generally a really bright sound and a generally more low pitch. And so that's not a problem at all. You can absolutely go for like a lower pitch and still sound really feminine, right? It's just that there's like different voice types that exist out there, right? The only issue with those voices is that lower feminine voices can be more difficult to achieve in a sense that since you are reaching for lower pitches and since you, just like me, have had experience using those lower pitches with like
A more masculine sound, right?
then it can be easy if you're not careful that the behavior slips back into a more masculine sound. And that's something that can happen quite often and quite easily if you don't pay attention. So typically, you don't need to go for a high pitch. You just need to work on the lower feminine voice that you have and make it so that when you go for those lower pitches, you make sure that you keep the sound really bright and really soft. Okay? Things that I want to ask you, rather I should say, do you have like a specific goal voice in mind, or just like you're happy with the way your voice is but want to better it? Like, would you mind going for a higher pitch, or would you want to stay at a lower pitch and kind of like make that voice work?
I think I'd probably like a higher pitch.
Okay. So as you want a higher pitch, sorry. Let's see. Why don't you show me a slide from your lowest up to your highest pitch?
Oh, well, that was
Okay, wow.
falsetto, but
It's okay. You can hit falsetto. You don't have to shy away from falsetto, you know? Like, okay, the way your voice works is the vocal folds can vibrate in different types of patterns. That's like the easy way to say that. They can vibrate with really different behaviors. But basically, once you reach a certain pitch, right, you said it yourself, like you kind of like hit that falsetto-ish type of sound, right? And so your voice is like really light as a result of that. And it can sound a bit fake because it's not like a full voice like this, right? And so falsetto feels or hears or feels for falsetto-ish to hear because it's like so fluty and so breathy and so light, right? But that doesn't mean that you should shy away from those higher pitches. You can effectively make that like really falsetto-ish type of voice fuller and achieve like a more full sound. Okay, probably not one to speak monotonously like a robot like I did, but you get the idea. You can make any pitch sound fine as long as you practice at it. Okay? So, with that said, you don't mind trying for a higher pitch. Let's talk a little bit about intonation, because it directly fits into the theme of the pitch being the main issue in your voice. Well, to be fair, it's very subtle. I kind of like lower femme voices, so that works fine. But we can see how that impacts your voice. First off, without thinking of modifying your voice too much, how about you read the very first sentence for me in your current voice?
hello, good morning. How are you?
Okay, good. Hello, good morning. How are you? Okay, so hello, good morning. How are you? Okay, so we already hear there's like kind of like this treble down in pitch. Hello, good morning. How are you? Well, because it's a question, how are you? You are bringing up the pitch. But you already see that there's kind of like this, this like pull towards a lower pitch. Might I suggest a different type of intonation? Hello, good morning. How are you? Right? You can try to have something that goes a little bit more around. Instead of having hello, you can have hello, good morning, for example. Give it a try.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
See? That changes the voice entirely. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. How are you? Right? Much better, much more natural. So, and you didn't even bring your pitch that high up. You just prevented it from going down or from constantly going down. Okay? Now, all of these things, the intonation, the evolution of pitch over time, that is kind of not really a thing that we gender. I mean, it's kind of like a more socially gendered thing. Like, it's not like testosterone didn't say you will always go down and keep going down. It's probably because you have socialized with like the masculine mask of having a mask voice, and you probably have been copying behaviors that you have heard around you, right? More or less consciously. Now, you are kind of like bringing that back to the foreground, and you're like, okay, yeah, I didn't notice that I do this da-da, da-da-da, right? How about you show me how you would say the next sentence?
I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Okay, very good. I'll have a cup. Okay, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'll have a cup of coffee, please. Right? It wasn't like I'll have a cup of coffee, please. You know, so it was already more intonated and more melodic. And so, as I said before, socially gendered thing, having a more melodic voice does sound more feminine in most cultures. So you can try and go for this. And you didn't really like, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. You know, you could also just have even made that one lower. Instead of doing, I'll have a cup of coffee, please, like you did, you could have done, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. And it works too at low pitches. See what I mean? Like it's that direction. Most importantly, because we're not always going down, hello, good morning. We're not always shooting for the low baseline of your voice. We're kind of bringing the average pitch up a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. So now I really want to tackle the issue here, because right now we kind of have been avoiding it, and it's been working great for your voice. But let's say you have an off day, or you are tired after a long day of work, right? And so you feel like, okay, I don't feel like being, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. That's too much work. So maybe you might just want to be like, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. But still sound with them, you know? And that pitch was pretty low. Actually, if we take a look, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. That's like around here in terms of pitch, right? So we're like almost in the middle range of the masculine voice. I'll have a cup of coffee, please, right? But it still sounds more or less feminine, right? Again, this kind of depends, but depending on who listens to this voice, they might be like, that's an androgynous voice, or that's a feminine or a masculine voice, right? I tend to think that you want to think about it like the checkboxes, right? Like, okay, you have a low pitch, but what do you have on the upper hand? Is your resonance or your vocal tract size really small or really big? And is your voice more heavy or light? Like, is it more aggressive or is it more soft, right? Generally speaking, when we think of a feminine voice speaking, we don't expect a feminine voice to go around that area to like those lower pitches, right? Because generally, most feminine voices would typically fail at that range. And so if we like take a feminine voice and we like go down to like lower pitches and we like keep going down, like of course we have the ability to keep going down and lower. But we kind of like want to create a cutoff. So you can do, okay, so I speak up here and eventually, I'm here actually, da-da-da-da-da, I'll have a cup of coffee, please, right? And so you notice that now my voice is kind of like creaking. I'll have a cup of coffee, please, right? I'm simulating as if my voice can go to lower pitches. I think it adds a bit of texture to, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. It kind of adds like some pizzazz to the voice, right? It adds like a bit more texture. But it's not necessary. Instead of saying, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. Instead of doing the creaky sound, you could try instead and do a full voice sound, but try and make it extremely soft. I'll have a cup of coffee, please. A cup of coffee, please. Right, like a really, really gentle. The problem with this voice, with lower feminine voices, is that you can't really get loud. If you do get loud at low pitches, you're almost certain to increase the vocal weight and thus get a more masculine sound. I'll have a cup. And then you kind of get that buzzy sound that can sound wrong. I haven't heard your voice become buzzy at any point. So my thought of what happens with your voice when you reach that area of pitch when you speak that kind of makes you sound a bit more androgynous. I think it's due to the resonance tracking down to what you have already experienced with lower pitches. I presume you've had some amount of masculine, of darkness in your voice and probably like a pretty strong access to lower pitches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
maybe like you were like down here or whatever, right? And so
let's take the
Yeah.
pitch here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's perfect. So, if I take this B2 here, that sounds really mask, but I can make it really bright. And now we have like a more feminine B2. Same pitch, by the way, just it's like a lot smaller. But I can't really push it because to push that voice any further would kind of break it and kind of like showcase that, oh, you can do that really low pitch. Okay, I guess you must have like a really masked voice, you know? That's kind of like how the brain does the switch here. So yeah, several advice given here. You can either try and rework how your pitch evolves. You can try to catch yourself when you drop the pitch and kind of like go for like a more creaky sound or a more soft voice that like stays really bright, okay? Especially be careful with the lower pitches. I feel like you've pretty much nailed that area of pitch. Like you're doing pretty well. The high pitch kind of keeps you away from the darker sounds that can sound masculine in your voice. But for like those lower pitches, you have the overlap with what you have done with your mask voice before. I'll have a cup of coffee.
I'll have a cup of coffee.
See, same pitch, but it can have like a very different take on it. Okay. All right. So that's my advice for you, Ufu.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Applause for Ufu. All right, so Raymond, you have uncrashed. Welcome back. You might come up on stage. Come on.
Okay. That was
Yeah, let's go. No, it's not embarrassing. It was funny. It was fine.
And it crashed.
Oh, wow, that's very you can be on any side you want, you know, like you don't have to be
Okay.
here. It's fine. It's cool. Okay, anyways, so yeah.
Cool.
So we are a little bit late on schedule and I don't want to hold the staff too long, so we're going to go for a bit of a shorter session. Is that okay with you?
That's fine. This is my first time.
Okay, then we'll make the most of it, starting now. All right, so hello, Raymond. Welcome. First time here ever? Yes. Okay, cool. Now, why don't you go ahead and show me, like, your highest pitch down to your lowest pitch? Like, ooh.
Do, re, mi, fa, la, sa.
You don't even need to go for it. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Just like, you can like, just go for like an O sound, like, oh. And now drop it down. Oh. Okay, good. So, what's your lowest pitch? Look around a G3. Okay. So, we'll try and more with that. And it's a bit breathy too, so,
It might not be really useful here.
but it will change quite a lot when we look at resonance. So, resonance. Why don't you give me a really quiet whisper just to test your mic real quick? Can you say that cat?
That cat.
Please do it on a whisper that was voiced like that
Oh,
cat.
sorry.
Try and do it like Okay, please make sure that your voice settings are set correctly on the quick menu. Just go on the sound button, and then you want to make sure that the noise suppression is turned off and that the mic activation threshold is all the way down to 0%.
Okay.
Yeah?
Well, it says noise suppression is on.
Turn it off?
And then. Okay, turn it off.
Yeah,
Noise
and then there's a
suppression is
slider
now
beneath
turned off.
it. To be extremely quiet. Like if you are like this, like you're not quiet enough, right? If you're like this, then you're really quiet. You really want to make that super easy. It's like breathing out air. Like blowing on soup, but you're speaking, right? You are speaking instead. You know, you're just blowing air out of your mouth.
Pet that cat.
Not quite. It's okay. So you will be able to figure this out a little bit. What I'm really impressed at, though, even if you didn't get it quite right to bring the whisper into a breathy, into a balanced sound, it's like, ah, right? From a dark whisper sound, into a dark breathy, into a dark balanced sound, right? You know, we had like limited time, so that's also on me, you know. But what you want to do is definitely record yourself and like keep practicing it. I'm really impressed at the fact that you were able to like go from pat down to pot without doing the extra steps in between, right? So that shows that you can already kind of shoot for a specific voice type if you think about it. So yeah, like just like you were able to do pat, pot, you want to be able to reach easily back to that dark pat sound and then bridge it into a balanced sound. Okay? Keep practicing it. I'm sure you'll get it right in no time.
Thank you.
Good job so far, Rayman. All right, applause for Rayman. Okay. All right. So we're quite a little bit late on schedule, so I want to just really quickly check, do we have any questions on the, I believe there's a Twitch stream up today, or on the Discord? Nope, no questions at all? Or maybe I'll give the time to read. Oh, no questions at all. Okay, no worries. No questions, no worries. All right, so, I can't speak today. Jesus, I'm super tired. Now, let's see. I don't want to keep the staff here in too long, so I'll just wrap up the lesson for now, but I'll be asking 2 or 3 questions after I'm done wrapping this up. Okay? So, all right. So, hey everyone, thank you for coming up to this workshop. My name is Savvy. You can find me on Discord at savvy_sav, not capitalized, all small. Like up here, I have a Discord server called Scientifically Augmented Voice. It's a little voice community where you can go into and learn about voice. I do public lessons over there, and there's just generally a nice community that you can talk to and work your voice on with, just like the Trans Academy, but more voice focused. And you can join that at discord.gg/smalldbwr, big QMV, okay? And hey, I offer lessons, masculinization lessons, androgynization lessons, feminization lessons, and even beatboxing lessons like... So if you want to learn any of this, you know, just hit me up and you can discuss lessons with me in DMs on Discord. All right. Other than that, we can wrap it up. Thank you, everyone, for showing up today. Have a good one. Bye, stream. Bye-bye. Woo! Come on, give it up for streaming.
Yippee! That was wonderful!